Hello, this is John with TheologyEd. All right, let's continue the Escaping the United States series. And, I'm going to keep moving fast. So what we have here is the film Us. We've already done an analysis on the channel. I've done an analysis previously, but it's been a couple years, and we may have some new insights. In fact, we do. So Get Out, Us. That's our path. Get Out of the U.S. This is produced by written and directed by Jordan Peele. Same Peele here, but then also produced by Blum and McKittrick. These two films, and so you get three paths: the McKittrick path we've talked about, the Peele path, and the Blum path. Get out of the U.S. Antebellum, before the Civil War. Get out of the U.S. Nope, you can't get out anymore, and that points to November 2022, as I understand it, because it points to an eclipse, and this film was released this summer, and it points to the next lunar eclipse, I believe, or at least a lunar eclipse, when they're saying nope, 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 and there's an eclipse. And then Get Out of the U.S., the Blum path, you should have left. You can't get out, just like nope. But why? The hunt. The left is going to hunt the right, and then you have your freaky sacrifice on top of the pyramid. Now, this whole idea of a pyramid being brought down actually does not only happen in Freaky. We are familiar with in I, Pet Goat 2, the 5 eclipses from 2017, August 21st, the solar eclipses, total ones, through April 2024. And we have the April 21st, 2017 eclipse. Then you have the July 2nd, 2019 solar eclipse out here. These rings represent these eclipses. Then you have the third eclipse, which is the midpoint between the two eclipses in 2017 and 2024. The exact midpoint is December 14th, 2020. That was when Biden won the Electoral College vote, and also the date that the therapy rollout, okay, on December 14th, 2020. That therapy was approved on 12/11, December 11th, 2020, and then the first injections on that date. Interestingly, 12/11, that is the number of days between this eclipse and that eclipse, and then also the number of days between that eclipse, the midpoint eclipse, and the final one in April 2024. Then you go to December 4th. This is the eclipse before the climactic events of their apocalypse. This is an I, Pet Goat 2. This eclipse happens, and you immediately go into the ritual dance, the very animated, improvised dance, which Aleister Crowley says should be what happens at the climax of the ritual magic. And so in I, Pet Goat 2, at the end of the city calendar, you have an eclipse depicted, which is the December 4th, 2021 eclipse. And then following that comes the dance, which is the climactic events, which is why shortly after this you have a shot from the sun that hits the pyramids, and the pyramids start to fall, and they fall for about 2 to 4 years as a chain reaction, basically. Okay, chain of different events that leads to the collapse of all 3 of these pyramids. And this is a shot after December 4th, 2021 that hits in the big Scorpion. Now, when is Scorpio? Scorpio is October 23rd to November 21st. We are now in Scorpio. It's November 1st today when I'm recording this video. We have already seen these events beginning, I believe, with the attack at Pelosi's home, where the right wing, quote-unquote right wing, okay, as the media portrays it, when they are being accused of the attack as sort of a form of terrorism. It's associated with the January 6th events. You also have it associated with MAGA-Q and conspiracy theories and vaccine denial and these sorts of things. These people are all being lumped together in that one character, and I believe that's going to keep getting worse in the United States, especially where the hunt is coming because you didn't get out in time, and so the hunt, which will eventually lead to the Civil War, comes, and that's why, nope, you can't get out after that point. Somewhere around this time, it gets bad. Now, I think from Freaky, it probably is going to be related to a false flag attack, where you'll see when we get to that film, you have a switch in roles between the white man who's being blamed for everything, but is actually running around in most of the film, sort of the body of a white man, but it's a harmless teenage girl. But he's being blamed for all these horrible things that are being done by other people, another person. So you might have an idea, some sort of way of communicating in their false flag attack around this period. Now, what we're going to look at here is this idea of the pyramid coming down, just like the attack in Freaky when we get there is at the top of the pyramid, which is where the sacrifice happens under a lunar eclipse. Again, just like this period, Scorpio in 2022 has a lunar eclipse, and I think it's probably 2022. Between this eclipse and the next ring, there are two Scorpio periods, 2022 and 2023. So it could be 2023 in theory. However, it is early in this period of time. You see the distance between the sun and when this ring was released is small, and the space is usually pretty large, which would put it somewhere in the first half, which would be the first year of that period. Okay, but anyways, that's what I think it is, but it could be 2023. But this eclipse happens in 2022, November 8th, the 11/8 eclipse, which I think is hinted at in the Stranger Things predictive programming that I've discussed on the channel before. But also in like I've just mentioned, the Nope trailer, Freaky has this eclipse, and we're going to see them in other ways as well. It may even be indicated in Us, and we're going to look at that right now. So what is Us? Us is a film about the world, really, but this family is front and center, that lives above ground, and then a sort of parallel world that's full of suffering, living underground, where there are people that are tethered to the above ground people. So here's Gabe, and here's his tethered partner, and here's his daughter, tethered daughter. They're lumped together. So she's a runner, and she runs. Okay, he married her. He marries her, and they are tethered as well. And so you see he's got a mask. The tethered son of this family has a mask, and so they have sort of like a parallel life. They have parallel lives, but the ones above ground are doing well. They're happier. They're more comfortable. They've got an easier life, comforts that help them: proper medical care, good food, better clothing, all of that. In the underground, their imitation of this life is like a cheap, miserable imitation. So if she has a C-section, she gets proper care, anesthesia, and proper medical treatment to take care of the pain. Sometimes when you're speaking out loud, things come out funny, and you're like, "Did I say that right?" And you just don't want to say it. Anesthesia, I believe that's what it is. I'm having my doubts. And she had to just rip the baby out of her belly, basically cut her belly open without anything. Okay, but either way, to imitate what was happening above ground, she did it below ground. Now, it's interesting, psychology and how the mind works. In part because I live in Brazil, I speak Portuguese a lot, more than I speak English, and so sometimes I come back and speak English, and I say something, and it just doesn't sound right to me, but it's probably right because I'm a native English speaker. But at the same time, you start to have doubts, and then you think, then maybe you mispronounce something because the Portuguese is influencing your pronunciation, and you get worried about it. Well, either way, it's very interesting how the mind works. But the film, opens already with a way of pointing to 11/11. 11/11 is going to come up a lot in this film. And what we're getting is a storm warning. Remember, in relation to what's coming soon, I have posted a video already about there's a storm coming. Well, the storm coming in this film seems to be a storm that comes at 11/11. And we get this. Tonight's storm is causing all kinds of problems around the bay. We'll have the forecast, and we'll show you what would happen to the bay if some scientists' predictions come true. All on 7/11, but the TV shows Cal 11, News Tonight 11 at 11. Okay, and we're going to get more of this, but this could possibly be a date range to watch. Put a little warning on there and say, hey, between November 7th and November 11th. So there's a lot of important dates in there. What are those important dates, right? So 8/11, that is the eclipse date, the lunar eclipse date this year in 2022. It is also the election date. Okay. 7/11 is the day before it, of course, so there could be any big surprises. Who knows what's going to happen? Then the next day is 9/11. Don't need to talk much about that. 9/11 comes up all the time, and September 11th is a 9/11. Here's an 11/9 or 9/11. The next day is 10/11, which is the 314th day of the year in the year of the tiger, which pi is a big date, a big theme. The pi attacks in predictive programming in this year. So perhaps a pi attack we can watch for that on 10/11, which is, like I said, the 314, 3.14 day. And then 11/11, which is coming up here in various places in predictive programming. It's a theme in this film. So we have a series of days here in this date range that are all watch dates. All of them, every one of them. Okay? And so this is a watch week, really. And after the election, who knows what kind of chaos could begin, or maybe nothing happens. I hope it's slow going and not major and dramatic, but it could be big. It could be. We don't know, and so we prepare. Either way, it continues with the discussion of in 1986, because that's where the film starts in 1986, talking about the Hands Across America event that they tried to make happen at the time. And this advertisement is shown. You can get Twin Towers up here, and you get the San Francisco as well, and so from the Golden Gate Bridge to the Twin Towers and so on. So we'll see. This is going to become relevant later in the film because the people from the underground are trying to do basically Hands Across America, but taking over the country from the above ground people. Okay. So where does it start? 1986, they go to the a fair, carnival or something, and you're at the Bottle Pyramid booth, and the beginning of this film is Russell, the father of 9-year-old Adelaide, taking a shot, knocking down a pyramid. He's going to knock down the pyramid, and this is an interesting sequence, okay? So he knocks down the pyramid, and 9-year-old Adelaide says, I want number 11 as the prize. Okay, Russell, the father, is 33. So we have 33-year-old Russell knocks down a pyramid, and you get a 9-year-old daughter choosing item 11, a 9/11 item. Now, what is the 9/11 item that's being selected? It is a shirt, which is the Thriller shirt. Now we're going back to Michael Jackson, right? And she's going to get the Thriller shirt, and the mom is not impressed. Already seems irritated at the father, or before this even got to this point. But now she's irritated with the father because he's letting her get the Thriller shirt, and she's like, "You better not. If she has nightmares, or she better, better not give her nightmares," because apparently the music video, troubled her when she watched it on television. What's the video? Here was the video, right? It's at the time of this apparent lunar eclipse, right? So they use I say an eclipse. Often in these films, when they want to depict an eclipse, they take a light, like if it's a solar eclipse, they may use a lamp, or they may use some of the light, the sun, and put a person's head in front of it. They block it in some way to eclipse the light from the object representing the sun. Same thing with the lunar eclipses. They often depict a lunar eclipse with something blocking the moon. So, for example, in the Nope trailer, it's the UFO that is in front of the moon and moves away. And at that time, he's saying, no, 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 or she is. Okay? And here, we also have, the Michael Jackson character, he's talking to his girlfriend or date, and he says, I'm different. And she says, everybody's different, or whatever, I don't remember. But he's, no, I'm really different. And at the time, they show this eclipse ending, the full moon having been eclipsed by the clouds as it passes, and he turns into a werewolf. Now, of course, in this film, we've already seen at the beginning, the sun is wearing a werewolf mask. He keeps it up and down, puts it up and down, and puts it up and down. That may actually have something to do with the moon as far as understanding the predictive programming. Perhaps when he makes a switch from masked to unmasked, it's like he's going from werewolf to not, or from not werewolf to werewolf, which may be in the context of those scenes, we may be able to look for, could this be related to some sort of a lunar event? I haven't investigated that carefully. I'm just throwing that on, brainstorming as I talk, okay, and throwing out ideas. And if somebody wants to go through the film and pay attention, close attention to transitions from using the mask to not using the mask, and then ask, does this in some way, shape, or form give us information about a lunar eclipse, or what may happen at or be associated with a lunar eclipse in their planning? You could do that. But anyways, here we have that, and he makes the transition, and it's associated with sort of zombies being unleashed, released, coming from the underground again, like in the film. Okay, it's close to midnight. Something evil's lurking in the dark. No one's going to save you from the beast about to strike. You see these themes in the song? And the dead start to walk in their masquerade. There's no escaping the jaws of the alien this time. They are open wide. This is the end of your life. They're out to get you. There's demons closing in on every side. They will possess you unless you change that number on your dial, and so on, okay? So what we're getting is bad news comes with this. So now, with that in mind, let's go back to the scene right here. She's going to get her Thriller shirt with the pyramid being knocked down. 9/11, the 33, the occult, Masons, your whoever it is in the secret societies, right? They're the ones knocking down the pyramid, and they're bringing Thriller. They're bringing this beast that you're not going to survive out. Okay, that's the idea. That's what's coming from this. Now, she walks off. He's going to say, how about the Big Dipper doing something with, I don't know exactly, but I left this clip in here because it's between this and the exit that we have some sort of reference to the Big Dipper. If you want to pause and read this, you can read some of the ancient Egyptian mythology in relation to the Big Dipper and Horus and Set and all that. Okay, but she goes on, and while the mom, I think, went to the bathroom, she tells her to stay close. The father is over beating, playing whack-a-mole. And a storm. The storm is approaching, because now we're getting very close to the storm. Remember the date range we're in, the sequence. We're going from, possibly, but just keep that in mind as something to observe, because it may be important. From 7/11 to 11/11 was the beginning in the news, the channels, and 7/11, and then it says 11/11 on the screen. And here we're getting 9/11. She's 9. She grabs number 11. She's walking away. Mom disappears. He's playing whack-a-mole. And the storm that we were advised about on that news broadcast is approaching. You hear the thunder. The storm is approaching. Remember, there's a storm coming. Lots of themes about the storm coming in relation, I believe, to there's metaphorical senses in which all these terrible things are going to happen. So you have a metaphorical storm. But I do think there is actual, very strong reason to believe that actual chemtrailing, things actually sprayed into the air, will be a part of the horrible things that are to come and are happening. Okay? And so anyways, the storm is approaching, and that's, if you think about Nope as well, that film, which is in one of these three lines from Get Out of the U.S. Because Nope, what was it? It's in the clouds. It's hidden in the clouds. This living thing is living in the clouds in Nope, and it's going to kill you. It's up there. Okay? And so they keep having, that's a repeated theme. But anyways, so the storm is approaching, and she wanders off. And where does she go? She's going to go past this big exit sign, right? You're at the point now where there's no going back. You're leaving the ability to come back. She is going to go, and we find out later that what ends up happening to her is she disappears forever. She never comes back, at least as a child. She ends up being swapped and going into the underground world when her tethered partner, actually escapes the underground. Okay, so she's leaving her exit. There's no more exit. Okay, she goes down. Once she passes this, you're done, and you get this Jeremiah 11:11. So we've gone from 9:11, her picking the 11 shirt. Now we're going to Jeremiah 11:11, and these two teens over here, they're playing, rock, paper, scissors, and they keep landing on the same combination, and they land on scissors over and over again. And now when the underground people come up later in the film, the tethered show up in their uprising. They come with scissors to kill people. Okay, so there's probably some relationship here. Anyway, she goes down, passes Jeremiah 11:11. But what is Jeremiah 11:11? Here's Jeremiah 11:9 through 11:11. And the Lord said unto me, a conspiracy is found among the men of Judah and among the inhabitants of Jerusalem. They are turned back to the iniquities of their forefathers, which refused to hear my words, and they went after other gods to serve them. The house of Israel and the house of Judah have broken my covenant, which I made with their fathers. Jeremiah 11:11. Therefore thus saith the Lord, behold, I will bring evil upon them, which they shall not be able to escape. And though they shall cry unto me, I will not hearken unto them. Now when the passage continues, what types of things are this evil, constitute this evil? Jeremiah 11:22 says, therefore thus saith the Lord of hosts, behold, I will punish them. The young men shall die by the sword, so violence. Their sons and their daughters shall die by famine. So it sounds like violence, war, and famine. I don't know if they want us to go all the way to Jeremiah 11:22 to see what Scripture actually said this evil is. But if so, watch for famine and war accelerating around this time. Okay, which is completely plausible given the fact that during that we're already seeing the grain issue in Ukraine. From what it sounds like, we're seeing some other indications that food shortages are a real threat and real possibility. So plan for that. And also, of course, there is a major threat of war, not just regional, not just civil war long-term in the United States, but even a world war with the conflict in Europe right now with Russia and NATO revolving around the Ukraine conflict. Okay, so we have these things to watch. We continue. She goes down. She goes to the beach. And there you see she's looking at the storm approaching. The storm is getting close now. Okay, she just left the Jeremiah 11:11 exit. We're past that. And there's, no going back at this point, basically. She's almost to that point, and the storm is really close. Once the storm hits, there's no going back. Now she has her apple. And she shows up at the Vision Quest location, which we've explained before. You can pause and read that if you'd like. But get lost and find yourself. Signs near the arch doorway say, get lost and find yourself. She got lost, and who is finding, when you find yourself, you find your tethered partner who's going to come out. So she's going to go in, and she drops the apple first, just like the apple dropping in iPet Go 2. That's the prop with the magic. You release that into the world. This prop goes out of the magic circle, and iPet Go 2 rolls over to Obama's feet. It opens up as a lunar eclipse, right? It was the May 2022 lunar eclipse, the flower moon, which is why the red apple comes out of this eclipse symbol, and as a red object opens up and a flower comes out of it. The May full moon is the flower moon, and the May 2022 eclipse was the lunar blood red moon, flower moon. Okay, and that opens, and then Obama looks down, and that's when the problems begin. And so we have this, and then he starts to sweat it because it's what comes after that May eclipse that is a concern. And remember from Turning Red that you have the first eclipse, the May eclipse. The little girl turns into a panda, the pandemic, the first time. But she has until the next eclipse to reverse it, and she gets to choose. Will she reverse it or not? And we saw monkeypox begin right at May, mid-May, with that eclipse. And we're watching it grow, and then it slows down, and people are using this the smallpox vaccine now to combat it, and they're saying it's slowing down because of this. But they're also saying it looks like it's with us to stay because it's too widespread to completely contain it, make it disappear. That's been what I've been reading. But maybe it'll stop roughly around this time. We'll see. But if turning red is any indication, what happens is it continues. Because she chooses at the end to not go back. She wants to stay the panda and have that power. And her mom returns as a huge panda. So the older panda that was there before the older pandemic that seemed to have stopped being a panda, her mom, because her mom had controlled it and made it go away, at the second lunar eclipse, which would be your November one, returns and becomes a huge one and goes around killing everything, crushing buildings and, scaring all these people off and everything. And that's the big one. That's the real threat. So we have a second, possibly two pandas that will be around come November, this eclipse. But who knows? But the point is, this eclipse, I think this apple is represented as prop, meaning we're getting close to this dropped apple happening because the storm is arriving. Now she goes in, and the rain starts as soon as she goes through the portal. The door is called a portal, the Vision Quest portal in the script of the film. Okay, and she goes in there, and you can read this if you'd like. I've discussed it in a previous video. It's about making new worlds and, the old world being destroyed and a new world being created. It's the mythology that's being played over the speaker in the Vision Quest area. And anyways, she goes in, and remember this theme of there's no more exit. Now that she's in here, she's done. She goes in, she ends up in a sort of a maze of mirrors, one of these, and she sees an exit sign. She tries to go to it, but it's not an exit. There is no exit. It looks like you can exit, but you can't exit. That was her last exit, and she went through it and made a mistake. So now she can't get back. See, she's trapped by the mirrors. All the exit signs, they're reflecting everywhere. And so she is toast. She starts whistling the Itsy Bitsy Spider. I have not been able to make sense of the spider yet. The spider is important in this film. Itsy Bitsy Spider here. The spider is a part of the mythology. And the spider shows up later when her tethered who escapes, the mother, is on a couch looking at a little table, and she sees a fake spider and a living real spider underneath it, walking out from underneath it like a spider giving birth to a spider almost. All right, so if you want to be the person who solves that one, I'd be grateful. Leave a comment, let me know what you think the spiders are representing here. But she ends up backing up to her tethered partner. She gets terrified. They don't tell you what happens here, but we find out at the end of the film that what happened is the girl from the underground who's tethered actually swapped places with her and takes her down and leaves her in the underground, and then goes and takes her place in the above ground life with her parents and family. Now, and it's at that point we go straight to the eye of the rabbit, and it's caged, and you get us written in front of it. Okay, it's like the us who are caged. Later in the film, the rabbits have all escaped at the same time that the tethered go above ground. And so at the end of the film, you'll get to the underground area, and there's all these loose rabbits just running around. There's other possibilities what the rabbits could represent here. Notice, with Peele's themes often of with race, you may have something to do with race. There are a few black rabbits in here, but most of them are white. It could be an indication that the people who are traditionally considered the predators in society will be made to prey at some point, the reversal. Or it could just be a representation, because we know us represents the Americans, and the Americans here are imprisoned. Because look, you get the rabbit, and then you get us right in front of a caged bunny. So I think that's probably actually the best explanation here. The Americans will be caged. You'll be in trouble here at this point. There's no getting out. She left her exit opportunities, and now we find that the rabbits who represent us are caged. They're imprisoned. They're locked up. There's no getting out. And here you go again. You got the McKittrick-Blum lines. And, of course, no secret. Peel was key here. All right, so they go to a vacation house in Santa Cruz. They're going to go to the beach. After the swap, the new girl who took the place of the daughter is even then doing the tethered Hands Across America stuff with the animals while she listens to the parents talking. Here she is an adult, but pretending to be the actual daughter, looking over at the spider, and a small spider comes out from underneath the spider. She's scared to go to the beach because she knows what was there. Okay. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. Notice the boy is wearing a Jaws shirt. He also now has the werewolf mask down. He is going to hide, and you're going to get a shark attack shortly after she is looking at the bunny stuff. Okay. Remembering her child, and then he hops out and scares the girl who is wearing another rabbit shirt. So we're getting a rabbit theme and the shark attack. See the Jaws shirt. He then goes and hides in the closet, trying to do some magic trick, but his sister kicks that in there, and he can't get out. So he ends up locked in there and can't get out. So we get another one of these sequences where you go from the rabbit to an attack, a shark attack, to not being able to get out. Not sure. And maybe the whole putting the mask down to be the werewolf again is indication, as some sort of association with the moon. Okay, I'm not positive. I don't want to over-speculate there. I'm leaving these ideas out there for you quickly. This allows me to make videos fast before I solve every problem. Okay, Dad shows up, and he's got a boat. They go out, take a look at the boat. He's excited about it. Then they're going to go to the beach and meet their friends. While they're on the road to the beach, the daughter points out there's fluoride in the water, and the government uses that to control our minds, and nobody seems to care. And she says, I forgot, nobody cares about the end of the world, like the end of the world is imminent or coming. And she is going into that scene. Later on, going to the beach, which is where all this is going to happen, start at least. When the people come from the underground, they're going to come out of that place. And at the end of the film, there's another thing about, is it the end of the world, Dad, or something? And it turns out, no, it's not the end of the world, but the world's going to be a lot different. On their way to the beach, they find the first person killed. And who is it? Mr. Jeremiah 11:11. He's apparently been there at the beach since 1986, holding up his Jeremiah 11:11 sign. He must know something, and he's warning people that it's going to happen. And he is the first to be killed, and he's killed by his Jeremiah 11:11 tethered underground partner guy who etched 11:11 on his forehead because he didn't get a sign. Remember, they have to imitate everything that they do up above, but they do a cheap imitation that's painful, miserable, and difficult. Well, his tethered partner has 11:11, cut into his forehead because his whole life is dedicated to the declaration of 11:11. But 11:11, that guy, 11:11 on the forehead, he is the one that comes up and is the first kill. He kills somebody first. So 11:11 brings the death. Okay, now, again, that doesn't have to be a date. It's the evil that's inescapable. It may be a date. It fits in the date range. It fits in the narrative pretty well. It's in Scorpio. It could be, but don't sit around expecting something on a specific date. This is more like putting watches on things. Like it could be a date. You'll see it's going to come up a lot in the film. But 11:11 is associated with the beginning again. They go to the beach. You do get some sort of a military hint. They changed the sign from 1986 to now. Now it's Merlin's Forest, and you have a Uncle Sam type pointing, and that's not just me saying that. That is in the script. the old white wizard who still points his finger outward like a bizarro Uncle Sam. That's in the script. I didn't make that up. Okay, so that reference and association with Uncle Sam is built into the film on purpose. So it could be a hint of war again, or be related to war, conflict, military activity. I'm not sure. Then you keep going. You said you'd come at 2:30. There might be a hidden 23. Looking at 2023, the year of the rabbit. There's a lot of rabbit symbolism in this film. Okay, it's also the year in IPECO 2 that to me looks like the year of a lot of death. Okay, from the dancer who jumps with like the death mask on with the wings, and under his under the cape or wings you have 23 written. And it fits into the chronology that I've explained in previous videos from iPetGoat 2 with the horizontal rotations representing 4-month periods. But that you have to watch a video on that to understand why that is and how that works. So, all right, so weird things are happening. We have a Blackout reference again. A lot of Blackout references in this film. Jinx, double jinx, triple jinx, Blackout. Associated with sort of the Black Flag Band. She's wearing that shirt. Rebellion, anarchy, chaos in society. Okay, resistance to the police, rejecting police authority, and then you have jinx, double jinx, triple jinx, Blackout. These girls say, and then right before the underground tethered people attack Gabe and his family, their house, their vacation house, the lights go out in the house. Okay, we'll get there in just a second. Weird stuff's happening. She gets this, a frisbee flies in, and it lands perfectly on top of the circle like an eclipse. They make a big deal out of this. They're like, that's weird, you know. They talk about it, then they focus on the circle. So again, maybe references to this eclipses. But here's the first guy from the underground in the line that's going to be this Hands Across America in the film with the tethered. He's over there bloody-handed. They don't show his face yet, but he has the 11-11 on his forehead. He's the first guy to do this. So again, it begins with the 11-11 guy. They go home, and they overhear the radio, and what do you get? 7th inning of a game. Here's something you don't see often. Warnings in Minnesota, so maybe something begins in Minnesota, and the game is 11-11, tied in the 7th inning. So we may get, we're looking at it again, 11-11, and it makes her stop because she hears it. She's getting worried about 11-11. Yeah, see, Hollister is known for a late-inning fastball, whatever. And he's like, I'll see you later in the magic room. He's referring to, time of intimacy with his wife in the bedroom. But that magic idea is going to be, I think, relevant. Maybe you have some sort of ritual magic, ritual sex magic, something like that hinted at. She goes to the room to talk to the boy because at the beach she panicked like he had run off when he really just went to the bathroom, and she goes in to talk to him about what happened, and he looks and he points to the clock. He says, look, it's 11:11, and she looks over. And again, they make an issue out of this, like it's a big deal that the clock's 11:11. They're saying 11:11 everywhere. And this is the thing that concerns her when 11:11 comes up so much. And this eclipse thing she saw that at the beach, she makes a comment, this weird stuff's happening, these coincidences, things that line up. Like 11:11 is a bunch of lines. It even lines up in that way. Even since we've been up here, they've been happening more and more. I think they mean she's getting closer. The girl looks like her tethered twin. He doesn't think it's a real threat. He's like, you were in a place with a bunch of mirrors. Of course you saw somebody who looked like you. She's like, no, this one was real. And he didn't seem to. He seemed skeptical. But anyways, she thinks all these signs are that they're getting close. The uprising's coming. 11:11's here. It's getting close. Notice it begins slow in the film. The 11:11 guy killed somebody. It was only one guy, but that was the beginning. And then at night, more come out, and it continues. It spreads, the uprising, the killing, and everything. But he was just the beginning. So 11:11 may be an indication that things are going to be getting worse soon. Then go in that conversation, lights go out. I'm here, right? He says, I'm pretty sure I can kick your butt. So if she looks like you, and he said, all right, that's not funny because she's not in the mood. And then the lights cut out, and you get your blackout, and that's when they show up. So again, blackout. 14 minutes to police, 9/11. She calls 911, and it's going to take 14 minutes for 911 to get there. I'm not sure what that signifies. Maybe that gets us to 11:14, or maybe 14 days after 11:11. I don't want to get too crazy with dates. I don't like doing that. But because what's really important is we are already clearly in this period when things are happening and changing, and they're getting ready for increasing civil tensions and conflict. I don't have any doubts about that at this point. Now the question is, what's the timeline? And we can pinpoint dates, but does it really matter if you got the exact date? If you know it's coming and you see the writings on the wall, why hang around and risk it? Why do stupid stuff? But anyways, if you have options. So they end up in the house. She says, "We're Americans." Who are you? The boy's like, "They're us." There's your U.S. and it's us. And then she says, when Gabe asks, what are you? He says, "We're Americans." So again, we get the us are Americans. And so when you see the us on the rabbit at the opening scene, the title scene, and the rabbits are on cages, and they back up and they show us in cages, I think that's the idea. That's the Americans imprisoned or in cages. You can't get out, which is the theme of this series, right? Escaping the U.S. Get out now before you can't get out. Get out of the U.S. Nope, you can't. Get out of the U.S. You should have left. There's a hunt coming. Get out of the U.S., right? That's the themes in these different strands of thoughts, these different lines that follow the McKittrick, Peele, and Blum lines of films, okay? The Purge is coming. That's a Blum film. Those are Blum films, The Purge, and that all those various Purge films, okay? So that's the type of thing we're looking at. There's a purge coming to the U.S. There's a civil war coming to the U.S. There is violence coming to the U.S. There is a bunch of Americans like rabbits being prey that will be put into cages. Get out before that happens. You should have left if you didn't. That's what they keep telling us over and over and over again. This film is an uprising of people who are oppressed underground coming up against the people that are supposedly above ground and well off. All right, so we continue. They're trying to untether. That's what you finally figure out. They're going around. It's not just their family. It's all the families. It's the whole world. Even their friend's family is going to get killed while they get killed while Good Vibrations is happening. And again, we get this theme of the oppressed rising up, dying. She cries out to one of the little, smart gadget named Ophelia, and she wants it to call the police, but instead it plays the song. It's used as a music request, F the Police by NWA, and that's, straight from the underground, and not the other colors, so police think they have the authority to kill a minority. F that crap. Beat a police out of shape, and when I'm finished, bring the yellow tape to tape off the scene of the slaughter. Punk police are afraid of me. A young N-word on the warpath. And when I'm finished, it's going to be a bloodbath. Okay, so that's, again, the theme is the same one. So I'm not going to go through every single detail here. They call 911, but there's no help anymore because everybody in the entire country, in different city, every 911 number is probably full of calls because these underground people are attacking all the above ground people. It's nationwide. In the news, they'll see it in different places, whatever. Okay, it started probably in Minnesota. That's probably what that news was. That was so strange. You don't hear about this every day. Okay. Either way, what is it? You see the people. What are they doing? I don't know. but that would take a crap load of coordination to do it. So it's like a coordinated attack. All these stabbing incidents and the violence. They look like us. The news anchor, to our knowledge, no group has taken credit for this attack. It's viewed as an attack, like a terrorist attack. And we have new images coming in. They're coming in from Chicago, violence there. The television cuts to iPhone camera footage in downtown Chicago, a line of people forming. It's the hand-in-hand thing. This looks like some sort of demonstration or protest. So we got attack, like a terrorist attack, demonstration, protest, a lot of coordination nationwide. Big cities have it, right? Santa Cruz, it's starting there. It also is in Chicago. You're going to find it everywhere. Minnesota was in the news in the other scene. Okay, with the baseball game in the background. You don't hear about this every day. Okay, and there he is with his 11 on his forehead. That was the first, but now look, it's spread. Okay. And there you see the rabbits have escaped. When the tethered and the down have escaped, they let the rabbits out of the cages. So one possible interpretation, rather than us being put in the cages, would be the people who he views as in the cages already, the tethered, who are us underground, being actually released to be free finally. In other words, the uprising begins. So it could be interpreted that way. But given the get out of the U.S., nope, get out of the U.S., you should have left, get out of the U.S. before you can't get out anymore because of the hunt coming, having us in the cage could also, like I said, indicate you can't get out because you'll be caged, practically speaking, and maybe literally. All right, and so a conversation happens from the daughter and Gabe. This is what I mentioned earlier. Who's going to clean all this up? Not me. Is it the end of the world? Nah. The world isn't going to end. It's just going to be different. I don't want it to be different. That's what's coming. And now you see all the empty cages behind. And you also don't see the tethered underground anymore. They've escaped. They're killing everybody. Now we're in the underground. And there's a final fight scene. She ends up getting killed finally. And at the end of the film, you find out that the survivor and the hero here, which I have no clue why they feel so safe at this point. I don't know, because just because they got one family doesn't mean the entire world hasn't been or U.S. hasn't been overcome by the tethered down there. But we find out that she was a tethered at one point, and so in a sense, the tethered won, and at least in her, because the girl she killed, the lady she killed, was a non-tethered initially who ended up being kidnapped basically and thrown into this world of the tethered against her will. But that's the film, and you can see how this ties in then with the whole idea of get out of the U.S., right? What you have is get out of the let me find that the opening. Okay, get out of the U.S., and it is a film about a 9/11 attack, basically. Even calls it attack at one point, that attack on the news. The people from the underground come up. It seems to be related to the pyramid being knocked down, just like Note points to November 2022, just like Freaky has the Beaver moon eclipse we'll talk about. It's at Beaver Stadium when the lunar eclipse happens, and they're on top of the underneath that lunar eclipse, the eclipse, on Beaver Field or Beaver Stadium football field or whatever. The sacrifice happens on top of a pyramid. Okay, the Beaver moon is November moon. So we have November pointed to here. We have November pointed to here. I'm going to talk about this. We have Antebellum has a lot of full moon and clouds going in front of the moon, smoke in front of the moon, like an eclipse again, around the time of election themes, contested election discussions in there. So that would put it in November as well. So we got November full moon, November full moon probably, November full moon, Beaver moon eclipse associated with the pyramid being taken out. We have here, right away, when you go to this scene here, he takes out a pyramid, right? topples a pyramid. 33-year-old man topples a pyramid. 9-year-old girl picks the 11 prize number 11, which is a 9/11 shirt about Thriller, which itself is related to a lunar eclipse and a transition to an attack and the beast coming out that's going to kill you. You can't save yourself and all that stuff. All right, so it's repeated. It comes up over and over and over again. Then you get to the you can't escape. You get to the exit sign right by the 1111 guy. You pass that, and there are no real exits after that again. It's just exits that are not exits in the room of mirrors, hall of mirrors. And this is about evil you can't escape, Jeremiah 11:11. All right, so you're getting the big picture. This is a continuation of the Get Out of the U.S. theme, and you can see how it all fits together. All right, like, subscribe, share. Remember to subscribe on BitChute. A lot of the content's going over there. And thanks for watching. Blessings.